I think I owe the escape clause an apology. While I did come down hard on that lackluster escapade, I would rather take that episode over this episode. I Shot an Arrow into the Air might honestly be one of the worst episodes in the series. This was another tale which used to be considered a Twilight Zone classic, but I don't see it. Even back when I first watched this episode as a kitten, I disliked it. As per norm, even in Rod Serling's bad episodes, this plot explores some very interesting concepts on the darkness of human nature. Yet by today, it has officially been outclassed in every way possible. In this arc, we follow a crack team of astronauts and space marines being sent on a mission to conquer the first asteroid for America. Fuck yeah! However, the flight goes awry, where their spaceship crash lands in the middle of a space desert, where they have no way home, and no clue where they are anymore. Most of the crew is killed in the crash, and only a few men remain, where the horrific scenario starts to get to them, forming a rift between their partnership as they do whatever they can to survive. The main plot mostly revolves around the team attempting to find signs of life and grasp where are they. Guess what the big twist is? No, really, guess. Literally, the first thing that comes to your mind is exactly what you think it is.
Oh my God, I was wrong. It was Earth all along.
Yes, of course it was Earth all along. Of course their experimental spaceship didn't really make it to outer space, and they were in the Earth desert the whole time. I literally called this twist the second they started asking where this alien planet is. They literally give the ending away every time they talk about this barren desert because all they do is compare it to how much it looks like Earth. This desert seems almost similar to Earth's. The sun is at the same distance as it is to Earth. The mountain region is almost as big as Earth's. Stop comparing this alien world to planet Earth, cause all it does is give away that the twist is, we're still on Earth! The twist is cited as the best part of the episode, but honestly, it's even more predictable than To Serve Man's twist. Not only do you see it coming, but all the story building up to it was not worth sitting through. I know I'm jumping ahead, but trust me, the episode's journey to the grand twist is an infuriating bore. Our actual protagonist of the team is an officer dubbed Corey, who undergoes a sanity slippage the longer the team loses control of their mission, and he gradually turns into a backstabbing psycho, betraying his team in order to survive. For most of this plot, the team explores the dry wasteland in a vain hope of grasping the area, but the heat, lack of supplies, and aimless tasks only divide the unit until dark things start to occur. My least favorite character in this, aside from our psycho traitor of a protagonist, has got to be the Colonel. This guy might just be another one of my most hated heroes in this show. I detest him. The team's leader is a total brain-dead moron. The moment they crash land in the desert, he makes every foolish choice you could in this dreadful situation. Upon crash landing in a scorching Death Valley, he demands his troops bury graves in the hot, hot weather for all their fallen comrades as the first thing they do.
You what?
I get that you want to honor your dead, but you're in a desert. Aren't you just having the soldiers waste time and energy increasing their chances of dying from exhaustion just to dig 20 graves? The Colonel instantly starts to get into arguments with Corey when he catches him stealing canteens and food rations from fallen teammates. He calls Corey a ghoul for taking supplies which can extend their survival from dead soldiers because he claims it's disrespectful to the dead and would rather bury these dire supplies with their corpses.
This guy is fucking stupid!
Okay, I'm not military whatsoever, but I gotta ask any veterans, is this really a thing? Is it wrong to take supplies off of dead troops just to ensure that you live for another day? Do you really bury your dead with spare necessities that could help you survive instead of using them for yourself? If so, then that's dumb. The Colonel is supposed to be glorified as this level-headed voice of reason who is desperately trying to save his unit, but he comes across as stupid. Admiral Holdo stupid. He forces his comrades to waste energy and time in the hot desert digging graves. He orders his men not to take emergency supplies from the dead since it's dishonorable. He encourages them to waste food and water on dying people. He sends troops out alone in the dark wasteland to find something without any way to keep in contact with them. They leave their guns and weapons lying around near the crazy psycho who hates their guts. He completely ignores his men's deteriorating mental health, forms no plan to make shelter, and is so dumb that he actually brings his own death on himself when he mocks the clearly deranged Corey when he's held at gunpoint.
You what?
This military colonel is Homer Simpson levels of dumb.
This avocado just gave me a wedding ring.
Don't get me wrong, this doesn't negate anything Corey the Nutjob does in this episode, but it really says a lot that in this story about a soldier losing his mind and betraying his best friends, this guy is somehow the worst character in it. Everything bad in this episode goes wrong thanks to this Bosch-Tet's piss-poor leadership. Eventually, General Failure here sends Corey the Psycho out with his last sane trooper to find anything. But what? Corey comes back alone, where it's painfully obvious what happened. Somehow, Colonel Moron slowly puts it together that Corey killed him for his crap, where he then forces the unstable loon to scour the desert with him for days until they can locate his corpse. And give it a proper burial, of course. Big shock, Corey betrays them all, revealing that he's bonkers now, and slaughtered his co-worker all along.
Oh my god, no way!
Now, I like the idea behind this tale, showing that some people will totally cross all moral lines if it means they can survive. Corey's arc from turning into a cynical soldier into an unstable monster does have serious potential, but the episode glosses over a lot of it in order to get to his surprise face heel turn as fast as possible. Like I said, so much in this nightmare goes wrong because the heroic colonel is a moronic cuckoo. And I know what everyone's going to say, that he's meant to be the moral compass and reflect the good side to Corey's dark side, but that doesn't make him a good character. This man is supposed to be a noble Captain Kirk-esque white knight who knows what's right and is trying to guide his men down the hopeful path by clinging to their humanity and morals. But instead, he sends the opposite effect. The heroic leader comes across as short-sighted, foolhardy, unbearably naive, slow-witted, smug, sanctimonious, and worst of all, preachy. Before he goes full-blown nuts, Corey raises some legit points on them preserving food, not wasting time on back-breaking labor, and forming a basic plan to survive until doing major recon missions. But the Colonel dismisses him entirely and comes across as a pompous, self-righteous naysayer who does just as much harm to the cast than the actual villain. This episode is just so bad at trying to deliver its message of standing on the high ground that I agreed with the bad guy over the alleged hero. The bad writing speaks for itself. Corey soon lives out the dream of gunning down his boss after the Colonel stupidly mocks him.
He sure was stupid.
But as you know, he learns that
It was Earth all along.
meaning that Corey murdered all his coworkers and fellow soldiers for nothing.
We never left the Earth. We just crashed back into it.
The episode ends with Corey having a mental breakdown, with Roddy saying he's far gone now, and caved into his dark nature like a monster. And I guess we're meant to assume he'll go to prison or the funny farm now, since Corey broke. I like that the episode tries to delve into how our humanity can dissolve when forced into a grim scenario, but the execution is horrible. It's an episode with an obvious twist villain, leading to an obvious twist ending, granting an obvious moral, which wasn't as deep as the writers thought it was. This theme was accomplished so much better in episodes like The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street, Eye of the Beholder, Death's Head Revisited, and my favorite episode, The Little People. This was a stupid snooze fest. So I grant this crash a bronze skull. It barely dodges my dreaded decayed skull status, since I did like the concept behind it. But the trip escorting it was faulty beyond repair. I Shot an Arrow into the Air was another case of the show trying to formulate its gimmick, yet struggling to land safely. This episode took a shot, and it missed.
I shot an arrow into the air. It landed I know not where. The Twilight Zone.